Call the meeting to order. Since I'm standing, it's easier to get up. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Chad, would you lead that?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Wonder if he stays in that house a lot. Look at this. What, guys, have you been to
guys
Florida
look
or
great.
somewhere? What do you think they're managing? These guys are really super tan.
I did some lawn mowing today. Beautiful day for it.
Yeah.
Only got half of it being electric.
All right, roll call. Chad, are you here? Here. Paul, you're here. I'm here. All right, let's move right into any communications, public hearings, or any activities or whatever. Nothing going on?
Nope.
Want to do something now, or is this appropriate to do this, or should I wait for another?
No, we can wait, let her comment.
Okay. Is there comments somewhere here?
And toward the end.
All right, we'll do that then. All right, let's move along. Is there somebody here from Wiggins going to be here today?
Yep.
Oh,
Got Steve,
they're on the phone.
got
Yes.
Steve Turner
Hey,
up
guys.
there.
Billy
Steve, how
Wiggins.
are you, buddy?
Hello, Steve.
Doing good. Hope y'all are.
Turn him up a little bit there.
We're going to check your
It's
volume
it's
here,
Scott
Steve.
and Billy.
Scott.
Scott and
I always
Billy.
want to call him Steve. Wow.
I know. Hey,
I'm
you won't
sorry,
be,
Scott.
hey, you won't be the first guy doing it.
Scott. Let me see what it does say, Scott. Okay, thank you.
Put him up here.
I wonder why.
Mine says Trey, but that's my son, so.
Scott, Justin, our manager.
That's right. I'm terrible at things.
Well, welcome to our meeting today. We're kind of excited to hear about this new equipment and stuff that's going to help us when the weather's really hot. So, can give a demonstration to us is what we're
Yeah,
going to do.
you can take control. We're giving you full control there if you want to go ahead and share your screen, Scott.
Billy, go ahead.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna, give me just a second to figure this out.
Take your time.
Zoom into Snap.
We're okay until the candy runs out, so. whatever.
You may have to grant him permission to share the screen.
I think we already did. It's the first thing we did when we logged in.
Took a step of the candy for you.
Yeah, share screen's turned on.
All right, Billy, you gotta have
Okay.
your presentation. You gotta have it open.
It is open. Do y'all see my screen?
Yes,
sir.
yes,
There
we
you go.
can.
Yep.
Okay. Y'all ready for me to go or?
We're
Yep,
ready,
yeah,
Scott.
we're ready, buddy.
Okay, all right. Well, my name's Billy Wiggins. I'm the founder of Wiggins Engineering Services. And we're here to give you all a presentation on Tri-Halo methane removal system that we've designed. All right.
Now just to introduce Billy and Scott, go ahead and introduce yourselves to the board.
Yeah, I'm Scott
Okay,
Turner.
I'm
the
Billy
CEO
Wiggins.
It was S. Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm Scott Turner. I'm the COO of West Engineering, and we're glad to be here.
Okay. We can't see Billy then, right?
And Billy, when Billy starts to talk, get up on the
Well,
screen.
mine says Trey, and that's for my son way back in the COVID days. So when he had to
Okay.
Zoom for school. So, all right. Well, I'll just continue on. If everybody can see the presentation, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, just a little bit about us. We are based in Georgia. The Wiggins Engineering Services was founded in 2016. It was a full-service civil engineering company. We're currently licensed Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, PE registrations in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. All of our paperwork has been turned into West Virginia for over 2 weeks now. So we're waiting to hear back from the West Virginia state government, see where we stand. We have been doing the trihalomethane removal systems and HAA5 removal systems since 2019. And we have these in Georgia, South Carolina. We have mixing systems, pretty much North Carolina and Florida as well, Mississippi. So this is our group. Billy Wiggins, that's me. I'm the founder. Scott Turner is on the call. His role is VP Sales Marketing, Business Development. I think Scott's dialed in actually from somewhere in Texas right now. Jeff Hightower's our project manager. If we move forward with this project, you'll be seeing Jeff a lot on site, making sure things are put in correctly. We have a fabrication manager, Brandon Wills, and our electrical and instrumentation manager is Lyle Pittman. The last two you shouldn't see because they're going to be working on everything back in Georgia, getting skids ready and building panels and doing welding. So know you guys are familiar with THMs, but I will go through this slide for those who maybe aren't super familiar with it. Trihalomethanes, they're caused by chlorination of organics that are in your water source. They're also known as disinfectant byproducts. I will point out of the gate on this, air stripping does nothing to remove precursors. It does not remove organics. So it only removes what has preformed as TTHMs. We will remove them. The science behind it is actually Henry's Law, and it's just states that a chemical can be air stripped from water based on its volatility and its solubility in water. And how hard or easy it is to strip is called its Henry's Law constant. And that'll come into effect. I'll go through this in just a minute on what you guys actually have in your water. Just to say, the lower the number, the lower the Henry's constant, the easier it is to strip out. Going right on down in bullets, chloroform, which is mostly the major constituent in Clarksburg's water, is the easiest thing to strip out. And when we go into some of the test data, that'll become apparent. You guys have a little bit of the bromated species, not much. They're down in single digits, if I remember correctly from looking at the test results. And then bromoform, which we see a lot of in Texas and Louisiana, is the hardest thing to strip out. So, like I say, chloroform is the major constituent that we see in Clarksburg's water. So air stripping will do a good job for you guys. Full disclosure, chlorine, some research and papers that you'll read show that air stripping doesn't really have any effect on chlorine. Our pilot testing shows it has a slight effect on removing chlorine, especially if it's like just been dosed with chlorine. The gas has a low constant and will strip out. Once it forms with the water, makes it hypochlorous acid, it's really hard to strip out. So out in distribution, we don't see as big of a problem as we do closer into the plant. So that's just something to be cognizant of when we're going through air stripping. This is our approach to air stripping. We pilot test anywhere we're looking at putting equipment. The reason we do it is every water plant's different. Their chemistry varies a little bit, different pH, different hardness. Those do have effects on the efficiency of air stripping. Our equipment, we have a kind of a dual source of aeration. We use a spray nozzle in the top, and we use a submerged sparger plate in the bottom. So we're atomizing the water going into our aeration chamber. Then we're bubbling water through a submerged bed of water, or bubbling air through a submerged bed of water. And that further removes TTHMs. And our last bullet on this is we pretty well customize our equipment to achieve whatever your goal is. You know, if your goal is just to get in compliance, or if your goal is to go for the gold store for water quality, we can help you out in either area there. All right, just on our equipment, as far as what you see out there in the marketplace, we are the least intrusive to tank interiors. We are actually outside of your tanks. We pull a side stream in, we clean it, we return the water to your tank. We haven't seen anybody out there that can remove the TTHMs to the same extent that we do. Most of them 50%, maybe up to 70. When we're getting our test results, you'll see we were at 86%. So, and last thing, all West TRS systems include tank mixers. Mixers negate any kind of thermal stratification. I heard someone mention during the hot weather, if you think of a tank, it's really like a water heater. You get a hot layer in the top. And if you're filling your tank from the bottom, that hot layer of water just kind of rides up and down in your tank. And that helps the TTH blooms in your water supply. So we include these mixers to blend and have a homogeneous mix of treated water within the tank. This is going to be a description, basically, of how our system works. Water enters the piping from your tank, your ground tank, elevated tank, clear well. You'll come through the wall of this. What is shown here is an elevated tank riser leg, but this point right here could be the wall of your steel tank. It could be a manhole cover. We can even take the water from a supply pipe. So thing is, we're just tapping into your water supply at the tank, and that water feeds through static pressure into our tank. That water passes through a spray nozzle and it atomizes. So you got this cone of water spraying in the tank. Air then on the bottom is, we're blowing air through a sparger plate. That air bubbles through a bed of water. That dotted line right above the arrows indicates it's a water bed. That's be the top, usually 1.5 to 2 foot. That air then travels through the water mist and it comes right on out the top through a tank vent with a bug screen on it. That water then gets passed through the pump and pumped back into your tank. This one shows it going up to the bottom of an elevated tank bowl. If this were a ground tank, it would just be re-entering, going to the center of the tank where we have our tank mixer. I'm gonna pause there. Does anybody have any questions on how this is working so far? All good?
No.
The tank that,
All right.
the tank that you pump through your tank, when it comes out of our tank, it goes through and so on. Are they different sizes? Or
Yep,
are they all
it
uniform
comes-
size?
I'm sorry.
Are they all different size tanks, the tank that you install?
Yeah, the tank sizes are based on what size tank you're coming out of
Okay.
and what your average daily flows are, what your GPMs are. So we size it to achieve the TTHM levels that you need for that spot.
That's spogger plate. That's just a plate with little holes in it, or what is that?
It's a perforated plate. Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. You're right, you're smart.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hence
All the materials.
customization. I was
I'm
telling
sorry, you
Billy
broke
that,
up on me.
I was telling the customization, that's why each tank, because our tanks are not all the same size. So you build them for each application.
Correct.
They're custom made for each tank. Okay, thank you. Yep.
All right. This once again was on an elevated tank, but I'm gonna explain the mixing system and what it does. Water returns back through the piping back to your water tank. The water is circulated in the tank, so the mixing nozzles that we put are Venturi style, and they plume up in the tank and they roll the tank. So they kind of get that action going right there, and that's how we do away with the thermal stratification in the tank. So that's included, like I say, that is included with every air stripping system. As we want to blend that treated water that we're pulling from your tank, we'll make sure we have a good homogeneous mix back in the bowl. The spray nozzles, we use Beat. That's the name brand. I'm sorry. We found basically that we get better service and just a better spray and a better result using these nozzles than anything else we've tried. For those of y'all that haven't seen it, I know some of you have maybe, but if you ever run a pressure washer and you shot it in the air, that's the kind of mist that comes out of these nozzles. They're very fine, very small droplets. And those droplet sizes are very important to the efficiency of the air stripping. You're trying to get small droplets that have more surface area, so when you pull the fan air through it, it flashes off the TTHMs. As part of our design too, we also ratio our air that we're pulling through to the water flow. So we look at the water flows going through the tank, and we size the blower to accommodate the air stripping, if that makes sense.
Yeah, one of the things
70%
that,
of the go ahead.
sorry, Billy.
Go
One of
ahead,
the
Scott.
things that differentiates I think as a company is that we do size. We're not off the shelf. Where our competitors, they are off the shelf. What you buy is off the shelf. Nothing is customized. So this is how we are so effective. We're so much more effective when it comes to our cost savings. So this is the reason why we size. We do everything custom.
Yep. All right. Last bullet on here, which I think is a big one for you guys, 70% of the chloroform, and we've seen this not just in the pilot testing we've done in West Virginia, it holds true for the ones we got in Georgia, South Carolina, pretty much everything back on this side of the US where chloroform's the main constituent, is the spray nozzles are doing the bulk of the removal over the sparger plates. And that's going to, when we get into some of the test results, we'll see that. The tank mixer, which is the other big part of this, is there's a picture of it. It's a Venturi. There are no moving parts in your tank. This is just a static mixer that in the bottom of the bowl pointed straight up. And what's nice about it with the Venturi, whatever you pump through this valve, if you're pumping 100 gallons through it, say 100 gallons per minute, the suction is 4 times whatever the motive flow is. So it's sucking in 400 gallons through the Venturi effect. And then your discharge plume is 5 times what you're pumping. Wow. So you pump 100, you get an effective mixing of 500 gallons per minute. And we have a lot of these mixing systems out there, and they have worked extremely well. And as I mentioned before, all of our systems do include mixers, and not just the nozzles or NSF 61 is on that bottom bullet, but everything that touches potable water in these are NSF 61 certified materials. Tanks are stainless. The pumps are certified. Any valve that goes in this system is NSF 61 certified. And part of our deliverables to the customer is you get a complete list of every item that we provide you. Valves, instrumentation, and they're all straight from the vendors. They're not, we don't put our numbers on them. If you needed to replace a part on our system, like I say, you could call Beat. You can take the model number we give you and get a replacement part. You'll have very good information and very good drawings on everything we do. Okay, so here's our Clarksburg, West Virginia pilot test. This was from our last visit up. I guess, what was that, Scott, about a week ago? We had a reduction. The clear well at the time we tested.
Yeah, it was a week ago.
Yep. The untreated water coming out of the clear well, 32, which is well within spec, but it was 32 milligrams per liter. Let's see, the 80 milligrams per liter is the maximum you can have by EPA standards. So, right now you're in cooler months, not really a problem. But we ran it through the pilot and we reduced it down to 4.2 ultimately. That's an 86.7% reduction in TTHMs. Wow. But here's the interesting thing. We started at 31.7. We ran the machine with no sparger plate, just blowing air through it. and you can go from 31.7 down to 7. And then with the sparger plate, you're kind of in diminishing returns. 3 minutes, you're down to 5.5. Then 6 more minutes, you're down to 4.2. So
That's in 9 minutes. It reduced
kind of in the
that.
lower,
9 minutes.
right. The 6 minute, I didn't just exclude this, but it was a little kludgy. It was up here at 9, and we retested, and it was still high. We don't know if it was equipment, but it really didn't make any sense why the 6 minute would be higher than the 9 minute, or so it should have trended on down. We didn't get, I don't think we ever received any information on our testing at the distribution point, which I'm assuming was out near Despard Hills. We did do a test out there. Scott, do you know what those numbers were? Or do you remember?
I do not know.
Okay, well,
I know that we significantly brought them down, to wherever they
Yeah.
were in the single digits.
I can
Alright.
get that for him, Billy. You're talking about the first time you came by?
yes,
Okay, yeah, I can get that and give it to
the
you.
first or second. I know we had good results the first time,
Yeah,
That's how track.
but we were able to get them down to single digits. I included these 2 slides because these are just, one of them, we actually took chlorine residual as we were air stripping. So it gives you an indication, to my point at the beginning of the presentation, we do see some degradation in the chlorine residual. So just need to be mindful, and, as we go through this, we need to make some decisions on, well, how much do we want to scrub it? How clean do we want to get it, and what that does to chlorine residuals, and we just need to look at a holistic approach to this. What is repeatable though is, you get the first few minutes of any of the scrubbing, you get the most bang for the buck. So you get the best cleaning in the first 3 minutes of retention, and after that you're into diminishing returns. You're halving, and then you're halving again, then you're halving again for every 3 minutes of retention. Well, let me stop right there. Does anybody have any questions on the test results or what we're looking at on as far as the data?
Billy, does this run constantly or only when it needs to run?
The answer is either or. If it's in the summertime, and all of our skids will come where you can run them in automatic or in a manual setting. Like right now, you may not need to run, if you had the equipment installed, you may not need to run it 24 hours. So you have an option to run these on a timer, where you may just want to run them 8 hours a day. Summertime, you may need to run them around the clock. So we give you that flexibility to be able to run them as you need to.
This is consuming a lot of power.
Question is, efficiency on,
Power, how much?
on the power on
What
the
will affect our
equipment.
electric bill?
Okay, that's a good question. I actually, if you'll bear with me, I've got some slides on the pumping costs per gallon and about 2 slides down.
Okay,
Right
well,
there.
we'll wait.
We're going to get there because that is a consideration. That is something absolutely we need to look at. So,
Okay.
all right. This is just a picture of, Clarksburg, the center being here, the clear well. This is off Google Earth. I have Despard Hills on here, which is not correct. I'm assuming the one over here in the far right is Despard, and this is either north side or
That's Second Street.
that second.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then this is wrong.
That's
North
north
got it
side.
all boxed up. What's the one straight up?
North side.
That's north side, Second Street, Country Club, and then that's Adamston. And if I remember correctly, FBI is not,
It's
they
off,
haven't
the-
been constructed.
it's off the screen.
It's off the screen.
Okay,
Products should be there on the screen.
Country
Country clubs down bottom left.
Yep. I think yeah, that's where you got Despard Hill.
all right.
so you're proposing
We'll
that we
get that-
switch the tanks
get
around to
that
get the work rate?
Yeah. Please
What's
give them a
that?
different name.
I said you proposed that we switch the tanks around to
Just
get
the
it to
names.
work right?
Rename them.
Well, not necessarily. I just need to correct my drawing. How about?
Scott probably did that part, didn't he?
Yeah. All right, so these are the systems as we best understand them. We got the Clearwell, Country Club is I think that's Adamston, Northside's Despard Hill. They're 2 tanks. And then the FBI. When we were first talking with Bobby on this, we had some set up as mixers only. We came back and we're going to look at doing airstrip mixers for everything across the board. I did not have any TTHM levels for these. That's not a big deal. When we get them, I can plug them in. But we can just take, let's just look at the Clearwell. Our last trip up there, our strategy we talked about was, well, if we clean everything as clean as possible at the Clearwell, it's going to affect all the points down the distribution. And that's a true statement. We just need to know how clean do we need to clean it. And like I say, you get into diminishing returns the more you try to clean things. I started off at 4,000. This is not a set number by any means. This was just, we were looking at what would make sense for pumps and different things. So I looked at a 4,000 gallon flow, also looked at 6,000. We used 70% reduction for design, even though we got 87% on our pilot test. If we were just to, that gives us some wiggle room. We can cut at the worst times of the year when the Clearwell's at 60, we could leave the plant at 32 if we had a 4,000 gallon system. Put in a 6,000 and clean it at 70% reduction, that number would drop to 18. All right. So then we go out in distribution. We'll take those numbers forward. If you didn't clean at the Clearwell at all, it looks like the numbers at Adamston and Broad Oaks, both the numbers we were given was they top out around 100 milligrams per liter in the summertime. If you clean the water at the Clearwell down to 32, we're projecting that the formation of TTHMs would be 72. Does that make sense? It looks like at the Clearwell, when it's 60, you formulate another 40 milligrams per liter between the Clearwell and Adamston or Broad Oaks. There's still enough organics and chlorine residual. TTHMs continue to form. So there again, we don't remove precursors, we just remove TTHM. So if we drop them to 32, we should be at 72. Then if we put our aeration at those 2 tanks, leaving those, we'll be at 21.6 or better. We're using 0.7, most likely going to get 0.8, 0.83. So these numbers going to be down in the 20s, maybe even in the teens, leaving Adamston and Broad Oaks. Despard Hill, looks like we're out further with Despard, or for whatever reason, maybe it's older water. You're forming another 60 milligrams per liter from the time you leave the Clearwell to the time you get to Despard. So even if you cleaned it to 32 at the Clearwell, you're going to be at 92 pulling up to Despard Hill. But then when you go through the aeration, that number drops down to 27.6.
Right.
Now, if we come back up to the Clearwell and we clean all this to 18, that 92 would be borderline at the 80. Would be, 78, 79. Does that make sense? What I'm saying there?
Yeah. How much, we do the stripping at the Clearwell, how much does it affect the chlorine? It's more at the Clearwell, right?
Right. Well, if you look at just the one pass through, and I can zip back up to that, hold on just a minute. Oh, there we go. We're just going through the spray nozzle in 3 minutes. We're dropping basically a 0.3 in this one case. Now we need to look at those residuals. And Scott, I think on the last test, didn't they check the residuals just so we'd have that data?
Yeah, they did. They
Okay,
didn't get
so
affected that much at all.
with this chart, we should have some data at the plant, HL's water plant, that would tell us, after we airstrip to this point, what the residual was, and we can track those with our cleaning. So we'll have exact numbers for that for Clarksburg.
On this, I have a question about this here. I look at these. You have the airstrip and the mixer. Some of them don't have, they have mixer only, or they have airstrip only.
Early on, they will all be airstrip mixer.
All of them?
As soon as we, we were asked, if that's still a true statement, we were asked to look at, originally they were mixer only. We were asked to come back and look at them as airstrip plus mixer. We didn't have any, we just don't have the TTHM data for those.
Oh, I
tanks.
see, you don't have I see you don't extend the data. I can see that.
Yeah, before we didn't know we was getting the grant
So-
money. So we was doing the.
Right.
Oh,
This is what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And at the clear well, we're not gonna need a mixer, we're just stripping it and send it. Is that right?
Just stripping, there won't be a mixer there.
So do we have there's no tank or anything, that's just.
For the clear well, there'll still be a tank.
Engineering and training day.
There
Just
will
like
be a
he
tank.
showed, there's gotta be a tank to strip it, so. Well, there'll be 1 or 2 tanks out there, Billy.
That's a pretty lot of water out there.
Yeah, for the clear well. For your.
For the
equipment,
clear
we
well,
have 1 or
okay,
2.
I'm gonna jump down to the clear well drawing next.
Oh,
This is a conceptual plan of what to do at the clear well.
We're just ahead
Up
of
here in the
us.
top right hand corner is a nice Google
Yeah.
picture.
Fine.
So we'd be looking at putting a basin dead center of the clear well. Main reason because there's a concrete wall to help support the weights. Of course, there's a disclaimer down here, or not a disclaimer. We just need to know before we build anything on top of that tank that it'll hold the weight. So that'll be on us.
Yep.
What I'm suggesting here is we have 2 pumps. They'll either be the 2,000 or they'll be the 3,000 gallon pumps to either pump 4 or 6, depending on what we decide we want to do at the clear well. Those pumps have a suction that's down inside the tank. So that's only, no pumps in the tank, but they have a lift and they have a pipe that goes down. Those 2 pipes are going to be located. There are 2 gates that go into the pumps that go out into distribution. This G1 and G3. So all the water that comes into this clear well have to pass through these 2 points. So we're putting our suctions for the pumps there. Those will pump over to our basin, and we got a large array of spray nozzles. This can either, based on what we're seeing for the stripping, we can either put the sparger plates in or just the spray nozzles based on what we're seeing at the clear well. We want to look at the chlorine residuals. We don't want to go through 9 minutes of retention to get 3 more points of TTHM reduction and strip out all your chlorine. That wouldn't, that wouldn't be a good objective, I don't think. We want to lower the TTHMs without, creating another problem of having to dose with more chlorine. So, but to make this either 4,000 GPM system, what I got shown here is for 4,000. If you want to make it 6,000, it would be 1/3 bigger, or I'm sorry, 50% bigger. So it'd be 30 by 20 instead of a 20 by 20. We'd have 1 more bank of spray nozzles. And then our pumps would be, bumped up to 3,000 gallons a minute apiece. So this is my plan view. It's showing the water coming in the tank, how it's going to go to distribution. This is my elevation cut section through the tank. And then someone was asking about cost to run the pumps. It's a big number. It's it is. We're looking to pump 4,000 gallons a minute. That equates to 60 psi, the 138.6, which is what we want to run through those spray nozzles to get our atomization. Looking at a 75% efficiency on the pumps. That equates into 186 actual horsepower, even though both pumps have 100 horsepower motor on them. They won't be pulling the voltage and the amperage fully. I'm not sure what y'all guys pay for kilowatt hour for electricity. I plugged in 15 cents. I don't really know what y'all pay. But that would just be a direct ratio. If you're paying a dime instead of 15 cents, it'll be 2/3 of my cost here.
So
I'm also looking at running these things 24/7, 365.
How much would be? I was just trying to see what the increase would be with all these pumps and everything like that.
Is that for all this, is that for all of them or just the one here?
These are your big motors. The other ones are small. Here we're
Okay.
trying to pump 4,000 and 6,000. Everywhere else is 300 gallons. So you're, 10, 15 horsepower, not 200.
Gotcha.
We're just moving a massive amount of water around. And that's why I wanted to put this number in front of you. So, with that said, that's a number, but your annual gallons, at 6,000 gallons per minute, if that's your average flow, your cost, for every 17,000 gallons, you're adding $1 of cost. That's a number I could wrap my head around. There's a lot of water that goes through the plant.
We'll find that. We'll find that information for you. And
Yeah, we can plug in an accurate cost per kilowatt hour would help. And
it varies depending on the time it runs, whether it's on peak or off peak hours.
I got you.
Yep, so at night.
Also, you can think about if we did, right.
Then we get a lower rate at night.
On peak and off peak.
Yeah.
We
From
do.
10 o'clock to 7.
Yeah, from 10 to 7, our prices.
But to take care of this particular problem, you can look and see what else is out there. I know there's GAC, and I guarantee that GAC, your usage on that would be beyond what it costs to run these pumps annually to treat 6,000 gallons a minute. So even though it's a big number, I think relative to other things to fix this problem, it's not so bad. But you need all the information to make good decisions, and I understand that. That's why I put it on here. Also, to keep that in mind, if you were to up this flow to try to clean the clear well down to the 18, that 4,000 becomes 6,000, and this annual cost goes up 50%. So we need to look at the total strategy of what we're trying to accomplish here. I know we were saying we wanted to clean the clear well as clear as possible, but I'm gonna go back to the sheet now that you have this big number. If you didn't do anything at the clear well, nothing, this sheet, this column right here is what you would be getting out in distribution. if you clean the clear well and you spend that 187, these are the numbers that you'll be seeing out in distribution on the far right. And that's my question to you guys. Is it worth running those pumps at the clear well to drop from a 30 to a 21.6? Or is there more at play there coming out of the clear well? I mean, you have going to people's homes that might be affected by higher TTHM levels between the clear well and Adamston and Broad Oaks.
That's a follow-up question.
That I didn't have enough information to answer.
The only thing that helps us with the clear well is that we wouldn't have to do what we, running half of the clear well and only running it at 6 feet. You know, that's what we gotta do in the summertime to get the numbers down.
Right.
As far as, could we get by with not putting in the clear well? Well, yeah, I mean, we have, but it'd be a lot easier if you went ahead and took care of it now that you had grant money.
Okay. Well,
I mean, what's, if you don't, let's say we put it in there and you don't need to run it all the time, we don't run it all the time, but you have it.
So I was gonna, operationally, you wouldn't have to run it.
Yeah,
whenever
you have it, so in the future, if you did need it.
Yeah. And
Well,
Hey,
in
we're
the
running
winter
money.
time and stuff like that, you're gonna run it all too.
It'll be shut off, all of them. will
Yeah,
shut
that's
off.
what
There
I'm
you go.
saying. We're only talking about hot weather
So-
times.
Well, and you're talking about too, it gets in another ball game is you get Second Street fixed the way you want it and you're saving your power costs, that takes care of the money for running these pumps. Because then you can go to running and, you know, double pumping and stuff, peak demand. And it saves you, it was like $3,500 or $4,000 a month that we saved by doing peak demand, so that pays for your electric.
These pumps are gonna be on VFDs, correct?
now these pumps at the clear well will not. Every other pump on every other system is on a VFD. This one, we aren't trying to maintain levels anywhere. We're just trying to pump a given flow rate through spray nozzles and back into the tank.
As fast as possible.
So to y'all's point, if you only run it
You can regulate.
4 months out of the
You can
year,
turn them down.
then
Yeah,
that's
but if you
1/3
turn
of
the
that
flow down,
cost.
it's less removed you're gonna get.
That
Okay.
number is a 24/7, 365 number.
We have this information.
He'll send it to us after.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I actually I shot it to Bobby because I had Bobby's email. So I can get it to
Bobby, that comes on a
Good to
computer.
everybody
you
that
know
needs
what
it.
he's talking about.
Really? I was looking on my stone tablet, I didn't see it come through.
We have to pick on Bob.
I sent it on the fax machine.
Well, that don't work either, so. I don't have pebbles and bam bam. Okay, a little woodpecker or whatever it was.
So you're talking 5 months out of the year.
How much?
That's about.
Yeah, they'll be shut off.
Additional, and then we'll shut them off.
And then like I said, you're
And
saving
then,
that money
and then
by.
the tanks can do it during the fall season, the tanks will do the work.
Well, then we'll shut them off too.
Well, I mean, if you
Once
need
the
the
weather
tanks.
gets cold, we'll turn them all off. Cause your numbers are real low, not even sense of use them.
Now, setting stagnant like that for not use for 6 months or 7 months, does that affect the,
Well, it's not,
when you say shut it off?
well, we'll shut the pumps and stuff off because the water's colder and you're not forming the DTHMs with the chlorine. That's where the problem comes in, is the chlorine comes in contact with organics. Then you start getting your high numbers when the water's warmer. When the water's colder, those numbers are at 30 in the wintertime, so you don't have to use.
I think you missed
You're
the
missing
point
the
of
total point.
what happens to a pump when you shut it off for 5 months?
No,
That's what I'm saying. Is
The
any,
seals get brittle, I mean.
No, not for 5 months, but we'll drain the whole system. That way, nothing freezes or anything.
Winterize.
Yeah,
no, I'm just wondering, the
What
wear,
hurts?
the wear on the equipment and stuff.
yeah.
it's
What hurts
shutting
one
it
is
off
when it
all
sits for
periods of time.
years.
And then, they put covers over them.
Okay, yeah. That was,
Yeah, 5 months won't hurt, but like when we had the spare pump station motor out here, it sat in there for probably 4, 5, 6 years. And when we put it back in, the seals were back.
So am I understanding this right, Bob, that what we're trying to do is get a balance, so we have the residual chlorine levels we need all the way out at the end of the system and still be able to strip, here
Yeah.
and at the tanks?
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's talking about the mixing. The mixing will make it uniform throughout. So, of course, you have fresh water coming in the bottom, so it has a higher chlorine, reading. But as you get through the middle and the top, there's hardly anything. So that's all kind of dead water. So what the mixing does is takes the fresh water, and mix it in with the dead water, and it gets uniform throughout.
It gives a uniform chlorination
Yes,
to everything,
yes.
not just those levels.
Yeah, not at different levels.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because our
Good
tanks
question.
feed in from the bottom.
That's a good
Trying to
question.
understand it.
Me too. All right, where do we go from here? Any other
All right,
slides?
from the clear well,
Yeah,
yeah, this is, everything else in this system is going to be a variation of what you see here. It'll be an aeration tank, automatic valves, instrumentations, a fan or blower, pump, Jason's point, VFDs, controllers and PLC, and then SCADA will tailor that to your needs. I'm assuming most of these will be pulled back in on SCADA so you can see them from the water plant. Is that a fair assumption?
That's correct, yeah.
can I ask a question about that? I'm looking at your picture there. What's the lifetime of one of those tanks? Looks like it might be some rust or corrosion in a couple seams there.
That's not rust. That's what you get with a low bid tank. We would never send you a tank like that. That was one of the first ones we put in.
Well, I wasn't insinuating you sent something.
We
new. I
TIG
just
weld
wondered.
everything. It looks a lot more like our pilot unit. We would, those are actually, where they took a grinder and ground the welds. by
Okay,
hand,
well,
is what that is.
okay,
It's ugly. Yeah.
we have a question here.
Is there anything about our system, our topography, or the distribution system itself that you find peculiar or different than the other clients you serve?
They're in flat land, a lot of.
Yeah, it looks awful flat there in the southeast.
Everything's a ground tank. There are no elevated tanks, but you're in the mountains, or in the hills. So,
It becomes our.
a lot of our clients have a mix of clear wells, ground tanks, and elevated tanks. So, but no, they're very similar to other places we've been.
So your answer is there's nothing peculiar here that causes you concern or would be different than other clients you've served?
No, sir. Everybody pretty well that's got TTHM problems has a lot of the same issues. They're forming them in where they have their wells or where they're treating their water. And then TTHMs form over time. As long as you have organics and residual chlorine, they continue to form. That's
Everywhere.
what you see between the Clearwell and Despard Hills is you got a number at the Clearwell, then you got a much higher number out in distribution. It's just continued to develop TTHMs.
Let me ask a lawyer question. Your company, is it a corporation or a LLC, or tell me about the governance of your company?
It's a professional corporation. It's an engineering firm, so we're a PC or professional corporation.
Registered in Georgia?
Registered in Georgia and hopefully soon in West Virginia. We've already, like I say, have filled out our paperwork 2 to 3 weeks ago. So
Letting on baby dog's paw.
Thank you.
Hey, Billy, one of the
Yes.
things, kind of talk to them about, I know one of the different things from here to what you deal with out in Louisiana. You know, we have the chloroform part that we have a
What
problem
was-
with, but they have the bromoform, which is a lot harder to get rid of.
right,
Okay,
it is. So Brooklyn doesn't really show it. Castor, Louisiana, the breakdowns are right here. So even though they have 80 parts per million of, or 80 parts per milligrams per liter, parts per billion of chloroform, their bromated species make up another 43 milligrams per liter. They got a flatter rate of change. They're harder to strip. And we really can't get those out without a sparger plate. What we've seen so far for you guys, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, even when we were there during the warmer months, it's almost all chloroform with single digit bromated species and bromoform.
right, yep.
Yep.
But the thing is though, if there was ever to have an issue, the system would be already set up for it. We wouldn't end up having that issue because this system takes care of it versus the ones that they put in the tanks from the other companies doesn't take care of it. Is that right, Billy?
That's correct. we're, everywhere we go where they have the competitor of Grid B or the PAX units, they've discontinued them. They've taken them out of tanks and we're going in behind them.
And that's that off the shelf stuff,
Right.
where theirs is customizable depending on the tank size and.
Billy, where'd you get your start
Tim
at?
alluded to.
I got my start. I worked with I actually used to work with utility service and I used to install PAX units a lot through North Carolina. In later years, around the 2017 mark, a group of guys that had left utility service and formed their own company asked me or approached me about designing a system that would make their tank maintenance life a whole lot easier. So they don't have all these hoses when they go in to do the tank painting. So we pulled this whole thing out. So that's where I really got my start on design, was about 2017, but had been around it since about 2012. And that was my key role with utility service, was installing PAX units way back in the day.
And what you're saying now is you're going back and taking those all out.
They have good success, or you've got some data on what they promised. I think you guys, what they can do. I think chloroform, they have some success. Bromoforms and the bromated species, no, they can't take them out.
And
But,
well, and their
we have this.
removal percentage is
Their
less.
removal's only like 50%.
Yeah, their removal is only about 50% in the building,
And they're about twice the amount.
Yep. Yeah.
and you're 70%.
70 plus. I think our removal for you guys on that last test, we were at 86.7. If you go through the retention, I can do the math. The 31 of 7 is not as much. So let's see. So divided by 31.7. Yeah, 78% reduction if you just look at the spray nozzles. So you're getting that retention time is getting you maybe 8% more reduction.
Thanks, Billy.
So all this
Yes, sir.
data is gonna help Shelby, and we're probably gonna need your expertise to declare them a sole source, which from the presentation, they fit that mold. Customized, they've done a pilot study here, it works. They've got all the data to prove that the system works. It's just gonna take a group of us, to present our case, and I think we'll pull across the finish line. I'm pretty sure we can get this approved, that EPA is the sole source provider.
Not only does it work, but the key thing is we're on the ground to work on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just showing the 50% removal and her 70%, I mean, just that by itself is gonna show the reasoning for it. And it being customizable, they brought the equipment in, it works. They have the data to show that. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a hard sell to you, Tim.
It's entirely up to the agency. And we have no real appeal rights, so we need to put the best case forward
That's what I'm thinking.
and see what happens. And Shelby's good at putting that stuff together.
In worst case, if they don't, then we
Spec
build the
it, bid it,
project
yeah.
and spec it where only they can.
You're talking about the removal, so I'm sitting here thinking that if push comes to shove, if you could put a performance standard or performance guarantee in there, if they're saying 50%, these guys are saying 70%, then you have 70% in there, then those guys aren't gonna bid on it anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we just, I mean, if
The way it's spec, the way it's spec'd out.
that,
It'll be a performance guarantee that you've gotta meet, 7%.
yeah, and that knocks the competition away.
Any other questions on this? I mean, you have more to offer, guys, Scott and Billy? We finished with our
That's
slides.
pretty much for the TTHMs. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, the last slide just had thank you and questions on it. So
I think we've been asking a lot of questions as it went along.
Yeah, I just
But
want.
did we answer all your questions?
going to have one more.
Yeah, I misunderstood the point. I think we've talked past each other. With regard to state licensing, the principal will be a licensed West Virginia engineer, as well as the firm will be licensed in the state too. Is that correct?
Yes, I have to get my personal license, which has already been applied for. Once I get that, well, I got two things happening. We've already registered or sent the paperwork in to be registered as a company. Once I get my PE, I then have to register that company as an engineering firm. So three things have to happen, and we're working on the first two.
Well, we hope you enjoy the West Virginia bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I already am.
All righty. Any other questions, guys? I want to thank you all for all the information. That was a first-class presentation. You can tell by our questions that, we had a lot to ask about to make a decision.
So they're also, working in Logan, right, Billy?
Yeah, we're about
Yes.
to start doing work with Logan too. So absolutely. There's 3 other locations there that need our help too. In West Virginia alone.
Okay.
All right. Well, Bobby, do you want to disperse the presentation, or would you like for me to do that?
You can send it to me and I'll send it to the GM and he can forward it to his family fathers.
Now, Bobby, do you guys have everything you need to submit for this pilot study?
You'll have to ask the GM about that. He handles
Yeah,
that.
I think this presentation would be a good start. I'll send this to Shelby. Cause
We
we
can
have
always get back to you for more stuff we need help on.
this presentation is gonna help us a lot.
Good start.
Okay, very good. Well, hey, Jason, you know how to get in touch with me. If you need anything, let me know. We'll get it to you. We don't want to slow anything down. That's for certain.
Absolutely, Scott. And Billy, did an excellent job on the presentation and,
Well, thank you.
already had our questions answered before we even asked them. Right?
Yeah.
So that's good. So
That means we're doing our job, you know?
that's right. That's right.
So,
Well, Billy,
All right,
thank you.
guys.
Steve, thanks too.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Steve. and
Yes,
Scott.
sir.
Billy.
you got it.
All
Look
right,
forward to
guys.
working with you guys.
Steve and Scott.
All right. See y'all. Can't wait to work with you guys. Look forward to it.
All right.
Thank
Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. That was a good presentation. Let's
Already coordinated.
Let's move on to our
It's chlorinated as soon as it comes out of the filters.
approval of minutes.
Backwards.
What's your pleasure on the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 9th.
I'll second.
Let's move to second. Any further discussion, guys?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, general managers, no, let's see everything. Financial items, we're down to that.
Yes. It's got financial statements from month ending September 30th, 2024. Jason Farrell.
And then it flows outside.
Mr. Farrell,
And then. So it's chlorinated at the beginning and then it works its way around.
I just hold on a second.
That's why it's more conversation about content.
And
Thank you.
apologize to our people watching on television, but we're on TV now, you know.
Oh, well,
Okay.
Paul was after, I couldn't.
I know, I'm sorry.
He's the boss.
Did the right.
We got you. I just realized you read the financial.
All right. Believe it or not, we're already, quarter way through the fiscal year.
Way.
Um, see here, our debt service right now sits at 8.12. Our current water sales is $2,462,226, which is 26.8% of our budget. So we're over budget on revenues about 1.8% right now. Our total revenues is $2,608,105, which is 26.82 of our budget, over budget by 1.82%. Our total operating expenses is at $1,777,735, and percentage used right now is 21.96, which that puts us at, we're under budget by 3.4%. And then our chemical budget used is right now at roughly at 24.3. So we were
Good
under
shape.
budget as well as there.
How's our bulk water sales?
We actually, if trend keeps up, we will probably be around, $35,000 to $40,000 in bulk sales for the year.
It's up.
Seems like it's busier.
It's up some.
Yep.
And if it stays this way, I think we might need to look at that bulk water station.
Yeah.
I mean, and at that rate, I mean, you could probably pay for it in about 6 or 7 years, but it also keep out, people from, I know it's an honor system
It
down
keeps
there.
these people honest.
It keeps them a whole lot more honest, so initially it might go up a little bit, if people are not, ones are not down there not marking it, it could go up a little bit.
Someone told me last Sunday, there's a water bottle on Chestnut. I had its hose ran underneath the fence, was filling up from the street.
Yes, I seen that the other day too.
It's right at, it stopped in the road, yeah.
Who was that? I mean, just a truck loading up from there, so they didn't have to drive
They
in.
didn't have to go in the back, they just pulled up right next to it out in the road, there's 4-way flashers on it. Yeah.
We don't want to start doing
No,
that.
people had to drive around.
Mm.
I can pay a guy to work around the clock to take all that information. Try to get him out.
But I will tell you, when we had the meter, we had a hydrant meter before we blew it up down below. When they had to register their gallons used on that, on the book, we noticed an increase. So it is the honor system, so
Yeah.
you can read between the lines, so.
And
I think if we
sometimes,
do the vault station, I think we're gonna see an increase in accountability.
and also too is, even we noticed there too, is when, you look at the meter usage and compared to what was being billed, the meter showed more water usage than what was being billed.
Yeah.
So there potentially could be, not saying there is right now, but there is people probably not registering stuff down there when they're taking it.
Well,
It's
Paul,
very high.
you've
Or,
seen,
or under registered.
Yes.
They overflow their truck.
they got a 500 gallon and they let 1,000 gallon out on the ground because they don't get around, turn it off quick enough. So.
And and that's money we're losing out on because they're going to not write that down. They're going to fill whatever the truck capacity is and that's it.
Paul's got that on his phone, didn't he? Watch this guy. He ran quick.
Okay, guys, any other questions on the
He ran
financials?
quick.
Any other questions on financials? And there's nothing glaring and I could see just glancing through it, so thank you very much, good job. Let's move on, guys.
All right, next we have invoices and quotes. We don't have any invoices, but we do have a quote here from ASCO Power Services. Bob, I'll let you explain what's going on here since you know more about it than I do. I know enough to be dangerous, but you know exactly why we need this and why we need to order it
Tell
now.
us what it is, Bob.
I'll do it shortly. Okay, anyways, what it is the 480 APS, which is the automatic transfer switch. It's for whenever the power goes off, this switch is what switches it over to the generator power, okay? It's the same one that's been in the plant since the plant was built. And we've known for a while, we've just kind of let go because they could get parts for it, okay? Well, now the guy said they can't get parts for it anymore. So without that, you can't switch over to emergency power.
Oh.
So that's what we put before you is it takes 11 months to get that built and get it here.
Oh,
So we would be into the new physical year before it ever gets here.
What is a transfer switch?
Yeah, it's like a transfer switch. Yes, that's what it is.
Specialized, I mean.
Yeah, what happens, like it says, when the power goes off,
it
then
automatically.
that automatically switches to the generator power. Then when the power comes back on, it automatically transfers it from generator power to, utility power.
How much power you run through this? For our big motors?
Yes, well, it has to have the 480 and then it steps up to the 5,000. So if you don't have that 480 switch here, you have nothing.
So we're talking $61,161 is their quote.
Yes, sir.
I will tell you, the transfer switch that's there is the original transfer switch
Yeah.
when the plant was built. It has
Back in the
It
eighties.
has been updated over the years and parted out. I talked to the guy that was here that night, worked late, and he said, right now you're on a lane in a prayer. He says, we've updated this thing over the years. I guess this guy's worked for ASCO for.
We have a contract that they come in every year and service all the switch gears. And like I said, it's been that way for a while, saying that it's getting old, and we knew it. I mean, but you know how people are. I mean, they tell you, and you still got some life. Well, now he's saying he put the last of the contacts in it, and
There's no parts.
you can't get the part. So now,
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we
part.
This is something that we need, so to move forward on this, transfer,
Okay, we have
switch
a
for
motion
Astro
on it.
Power for $61,161.
I'll second the motion.
I have one question, so I understand it. The way it is now, I mean, it's been automatic, and it's parts, supplies, and the age. If in fact now something failed there, can we manually switch it over?
Yeah, I believe we can, yes. I think there's a way that we'll be able to do it.
That's
We
what
just
I'm
get
worried
Scott
about.
in here.
I'm
from
worried about the
Marshall
thing,
or
it gets
from
shut
Michael.
down and we'd
No,
really
I
be
mean,
in a
there's,
problem.
there's gonna be some downtime, because we're gonna get Scott here, so.
So there's 11 months.
You know, we may be, shut down for an hour or two,
But,
until Scott
yeah.
can get here. to get us
I think
back
we'll be
up.
good. Like I said, he just come in and looked at it. He changed out the parts. He just was letting us know, hey, I can't get these anymore.
That's smart, yeah.
So, now we know, hey, we've got to get it done. So
Well,
that's
hey,
what we're doing.
it's a no-brainer. We
Yeah.
have to do it.
Yep.
We have a motion on the floor. All in purpose, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it.
Yeah, when you can't get parts, that kind of gets your attention.
Yeah.
By the way, we'll be working into the next year's fiscal budget.
But it's in next year's
It's
budget.
it'll be next year item, so it'll be worked in. the next
That'll be
year's
in
budget.
that'll be in our minutes, the fact that we realize that.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's move on. Next item.
There is no update for the Chestnut Street. We're still waiting on the final invoice
Right.
From Green Rivers.
from Green River Group. Yeah, they'll be sending it to Steve, and then Steve and Dave will work together and make sure all the quantities and stuff match, which I believe they do. But still, we need to review everything, make sure that everything in that contract has been fulfilled, and then Steve
What
will
was the
sign
total
off.
tab on that again? 1 million something, what was it, or 2 million?
No, I think we're close to 3, aren't we?
I believe so.
Really, that started off way lower than that.
It's about double.
Well, of course, we had the 16-inch and so on.
Right, which would be added to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on. There's nothing we can do about that project now.
Yep, and the next one is the Water System Improvements Project Phase 3A. So Steve is here, and he's gonna give you an update. We just had our bid opening on Friday.
Yep.
See, these out, Jason.
Yep.
I apologize, he printed them so small, I can't see him. Looks like he's going.
Thank you, Steve.
And these are all.
You should have 1 through 4.
That went pretty fast the other day.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go 10 or 15 minutes between each one. That did 1 through 4.
So, I wasn't there, but, I've looked through these, we haven't certified them yet, we're in the process, still going on the final review and everything. But one thing I wanted to point out was, looking at contract 1, that was, $101,850 between the first bidder and second bidder, which is 0.7%, which is
Great. Yes, so
pretty good. We had 5 bidders on that, range from almost 14 million to almost.
Oh, yeah.
What's even more astounding is the second contract number 2, that's for Doss Enterprises,
All right.
contracting, $320.56 separated the 1 and 2 bidder.
Wow.
It's amazing. That's always good news. When we look at that, when we see numbers that close, that means the contractors are seeing the same information, that this guy didn't interpret something completely different. That's-
well, when you did these things, you guys had some ballpark figure in mind. You shared the pre-bid thing.
Yes.
I was looking to see how close we were, to what the estimates were. Okay, what's the next one? 3?
So contract 3, there was 16,000 between the first and second bidder. So extremely close. You get to contract 4, kind of broke that one down a little bit, because that's the one that also has the sewer in it.
Do you separate the sewer from the water so we can see the difference?
Yep.
Yeah, so if you look at the water bid alone, there's
Base bid.
$576,000.
On the third page.
That's what I
Five hundred
was saying.
seventy-six, $510.
Down to
Oh, there
$12.
it is. I see water. Okay.
That's the base bid.
Yeah, there will be a base, but I think sewer's first.
Yep, it's the third
and then
page.
there's the water base bid. So there's, less than 600,000 between those 2 bidders on.
Now there's a There's,
Yeah, and then you're gonna see deductible.
you see that?
12.8 million to 13.4 million, basically.
Ours is-
It's on the very bottom of the.
No, that's a deduct.
Where we at, trying to find it.
So that, so this one, both of them, overall.
That's for sewage.
Yeah, because right now, that they're only going off base bid.
Oh, or I see the
We
deduct, I
haven't
didn't catch it.
deductible alternates and nothing added in, correct?
Okay.
Steve, how do these bids fit in with your, estimates and with project financing plan?
So what we do, we've got contingency built into the estimates that we provide, and we've also project contingency as well. So we're able to take that project contingency, we're not allowed to have that as we move to construction. So that can get shifted to construction. And our construction contingency will get split. In a way, when we do our estimates every day, we have 10%, which you go to construction, they'll only allow you to have 5% construction contingency. So that money is kind of already built into the project. So it appears that we're gonna end up, taking out deductible alternate number 2 and number 3. And we've had some conversations with the funding agency. We think we're gonna be able to get about $750,000 and award everything we intended to do, with the exception of deductible alternate 2 and 3. And those deductible alternates are mainly Pike Street. So the Traders Alley area will remain. And South Maple, South Park, Monticello Road, Coast John, Gilmore Way, Meigs Avenue, South Oak, that was all part of the reduction. After the
Explain that to me again, this deductible part.
Okay, so what it is, basically, we knew that funding was gonna be tight at that point. So we said, hey, we had to choose an area to take out. What would we take out? We knew we were doing Northview and Staley alone, and we added the Main and Pike Street areas.
I remember that,
And
yes.
we were shooting for the goal. We're like, hey, if we're doing Main and Pike, we'd love to do the areas in between those as well and to get that whole piece done. And that's what we said, hey, our estimates are looking like we're not gonna have enough money to do that. So we put those deductible alternates in there. So if there's a piece to come out,
So you're
those-
removing that.
those are the known pieces to come out.
So what's in deductible alternate 1 that we're gonna be able to do?
So basically, deductible alternate number 1 is the Traders
Downtown.
Traders Alley area.
It'll have to be done at some point.
So no, we're still gonna do
We're
that.
gonna do that one.
We're still doing Traders Alley.
Okay.
You're just not gonna be able, you're just not gonna be able
Yes.
to do one up like behind Notre Dame High School.
Well, let him
Yeah,
explain
that's-
it to us.
South Maple, South Park, Monticello,
Okay.
Coach Jim Way, Meigs Avenue.
That's
all
around
those-
Notre Dame High School going up through that whole center section.
Yeah, that kind of piece up. through
And
there.
up to Golf Plaza.
Deductible alternate 2. And deductible alternate number 3 is, Church Street, Grant Street, Jackson Avenue areas.
Okay.
That's off of Pike.
Over behind Green Festival.
Yeah.
So, however, if,
That's what that's where I was going to understand this. I have to be very low key or elementary. So when you're saying deductible means we're taking them out of this
taking it out of
project.
the project.
But we're gonna have to do it sometime, so we're gonna pay for it later. All we're doing is trying to get the dollar amounts in order for this space, this 3A. And the only way you can meet the grants and matches and all that stuff is take some stuff out.
And get another $750,000 for the WDA.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 750, but yet we got 7 million, almost 7 million we were over. Why were we 7 million over? Why did it go so much?
Well, we knew it.
I don't understand that. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, this 50 plus, I don't know, so it's probably 50 plus million. So we knew that Main and Pike Street, we think the time constraint in order to meet that deadline.
For the
get
Department of
all that work
Highways.
done, I think that really added to the price of that work and the difficulty having to do the storm, sanitary, and the water, and then the gas company is gonna be in the same area working as well. So I think that difficulty added to that. And honestly, there was so much work being bid the last 2 months, just amazing how much work's been out to bid. And so contractors kind of had to pick and choose of, hey, what projects are we gonna bid on? Pro Contracting, for example, they do a lot of work in this area. They ended up getting a bunch of work for Betterport, Greater Henderson, PSD.
A lot of people got stuff going on.
You know, Lewis County, you know, they bid on one contract. So, it's just a lot of work, and when there's a lot of work, I think the numbers go up.
So that the demand is there on our side because everybody wants people to do work.
Yes.
And so their prices go up because of the market. But $7 million, I'm talking just water only. That's a lot of money compared to what we had planned.
Fortunately, like I said, fortunately, we had the majority of that already covered. There's just the items. So, you know, we're only requesting about $750,000 to make this work, but taking out this company.
And that's a grant,
That is a great.
Oh, it's a grant, huh?
It's not-
But that's just to do the project, but all that stuff taken out.
Say that again.
Okay, we're gonna take out Grant, all that section over by Jackson Avenue. We're gonna take out that center section between Pike and Main going past Notre Dame High School, that's
Yes,
there, and so on.
Alternate 2 and 3.
So
I understand.
alternate 3 is about 1.3 million, and alternate number 2 is almost 1.
Coming out of this project
We
later.
knew that those numbers were creeping up, and that's why we have the deductible alternates as community.
The alternatives of what we could do, I hate these things like deductibles. It's
So-
what we can take out in layman's term that people are looking for, we're not going to do now.
So
Okay.
ideally, when the projects all get complete, we still have contingency money remaining, we'd love to do a change order in that. This would be probably the first work that we want to add back into the project.
Is that before we go to the other phases or after?
Yes, that would be near the end of construction, we say, hey, we've got 2.5 million, what can we spend this money on? Where's the best bang for your buck? So, ideally, if it's already in the project, it's been, that's the easy place to add it. It's already been approved, you've got all your environmental clearances. They will much rather you do add these deductible alternates back into the project and say, hey, we really need to go over to another street in Staley somewhere and do a line over there. So it'd be much easier to add this work already. It's already been permitted in the project.
Now, when it comes to Staley, there's no we're doing that total
We
project.
did not have any
And
deductible
Northview,
alternates.
and Northview.
Yeah. did not
The only
have-
thing, and I'm only so people are watching and so on, it's because we did not plan to do Pike and Main at this time. We're only doing because we're under pressure, Department of Highways, a year from now or so, they're going to be redoing the street. So they like to get all this done, so we don't tear up the street again, to do all at one time. So when that happened, we had to add Pike and Main into this first phase, 3A.
Yes.
So people understand. But in that, we have associated streets around that area. We tried to work it all in. So what we're doing now is Staley and Northview are planned. This section
And
over there,
Rosebud.
and Rosebud's smaller, but that's a very small project. But this one here was done because of necessity by the Department of Highways on the street.
In order
And the
to-
sewage and the health gas and all that. So we're going to do that. We have no choice on those. It's just those other streets, and we're removing those. They will be done. Hopefully, at the end of this, as we get close to the end of the project, we'll add that in before we move to other neighborhoods.
Correct. And if we don't get it done in this project, we can use contingency money or something else that.
The reason I wanted to talk is we do have a TV audience, and it's hard to understand when we use deductibles and all that. Okay, thank you.
So we're 7 million over.
I did not put all those numbers together, to be perfectly honest. I'm looking at the total numbers. of
But we're looking at about
to a winter project.
So we're looking about 7 million over what we projected. That's without the deductible and stuff with.
I don't know, I had not looked at those numbers, like I said, when I looked at them, I was looking at what do we need to be able to work a project. And that's what we did, about 750,000.
We've got to match the bids with project financing. That's what we're working on now.
There'll be no additional debt that we're taking on. We're gonna make what we've obligated ourselves debt wise, we're gonna make it work. So you're taking money, because I know that we had to go back and revise our budget, because we had I know DEP let us have 10% contingency in there, which is normally not what you all put in there. So you want to take some of that money.
We have to take 5% of that because once you award the contract, they only allow you to have 5% contingency.
So they do that on purpose for bid overruns.
Yes.
So we're gonna take 5% of the 10% we have in there. So we're gonna have 5% left. That's for change orders during the
Yes.
project, correct?
Okay.
So the other 5% we're gonna use to take away, we're gonna say 7 million just for the.
Yes.
So then we're short 750 and they've obligated that they will help us with that.
Yes.
That's on the 750, I understand that.
We'll have to submit a formal application to get that approved, but we're in the process.
But we're still gonna be able to close and get everything under
Yeah,
contract before the
that's a
end of the
good-
year.
Yes.
That's a good point, right there, the timing of it, getting that money.
So we're still good there.
We're moving forward with that. We've got our project costs set up for Friday. So all the project team will have certified bid tabs at that point. Shelby will be able to go through and adjust the Schedule B with all the,
So Tom Amon he doesn't need to do anything. 'Cause I already called him and actually when I left the bid opening, I called him. So he understood what was going on. So on his end of things, he don't need to change anything
I don't believe so at
because
this
he's on the
time.
funding side.
Like I said, we'll have that, we'll discuss all that on the project call and hopefully get some kind of approval of that financing prior to
Perfect.
Friday's call.
Very
All
good.
right, any questions, guys? Steve, thanks for explaining that to us. I
And
thought
I
it went
next
pretty good
time-
the other day.
So
Oh,
next
shop.
meeting, we
I was
should,
happy with the numbers.
Yeah, well, after the meeting, I was concerned about the 7, but everybody kept saying, don't worry about it, we got it covered. Now, when he said it, I was a little worried. No.
so next meeting will be hopefully to a point that they can go ahead and award the lowest bidder because you'll have these certified.
We would have the certified bid tabs, we would have the recommendation report at the next meeting, we anticipate.
Because
We will be able to award the bids.
Notify your contractors to get your bonds and everything in
That's what I
place.
thought. So we're still on,
Contracts, Select all those dates.
so we're still on
Hopefully we can select all
schedule.
those dates on Friday.
Perfect, okay. Very good. Any questions for Steve?
No, thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
job
much.
explaining
Thank you,
everything.
Steve.
Well,
Snake Hollow Road,
so
hopefully you have
I
something.
do, I have a little bit of an update.
Oh, good.
I was talking to Ryan Jackson at the EP AML program and
Ryan Jackson. That's a new name.
he works in the project.
Okay.
Don't mind, I'll pull up a text that I had sent out to the residents out there. So the DEP AML, they have completed their environmental review of it and they have submitted it to OSM, who provides their project financing. And they're in the process of reviewing the DEP's environmental review of the project.
So the environmental review's been completed. Who they send it to?
OSM
Office of Service Mining.
That's probably it, yeah.
could very well be.
I think that's what it is.
Because I was wondering what that.
I think that's what it is, Office of Service Mining. I think they're helping the funding on this, and everything, right?
So he did say they were providing the funding for this project.
Okay,
So DEP has reviewed everything that's been sent to them, and, matter of fact, they had requested a revised drawing, I'm gonna send that to them this afternoon. So it
Good.
sounds like we're starting to
see some daylight, get it done.
get that.
Any questions on Snake Hollow? All righty.
Very good.
Thank you, Steve, thank you very much.
Very good.
We'll
Second
stop.
Street Pump
Oh,
Station
Second Street.
project.
Yeah, Doug gave me a brief update, so been kind of out of the loop for that, but I guess now they are selecting a, location up beside the tank, and our survey crew is scheduled to get up there and survey that area between the road to the right and the tank, get that all, surveyed and towed. So that is either, being scheduled or has been scheduled, maybe it even been done.
So finally, we've moved to design now.
Yes.
So the project's moved to
And
design.
we're also waiting on some technical drawings to get back from the pump man, which is supplier that we've been working with to design that. We're waiting to get specific specs for that exact pump. That's kind of spec out.
Okay, any questions, guys?
That design is moving forward.
Okay. Mr. Manager, what's the next one?
TTHM removal project. Shelby could not be here today. But Shelby has communicated with our EPA project officer. Her name's Kelly O'Neill. She's out of Philadelphia. Miss O'Neill is out of the office this week. but plans to reach out to Shelby next week to get our project started. Also in your packet, you will see Region 6 Planning Development Council project administration contract in the amount of $50,000. Which is like, if I know it's less than 2% of the overall project cost, which is really good for project administration.
And it's regulated by the granting agency. They see this.
And I sent it to you and you reviewed it.
Okay.
When you do make your motion, give me authorization to sign it on behalf of the water board.
Okay, go make a motion.
Make a motion for the 50,000.
Yes, and authorize me to sign the
I make a
contract.
motion for the 50,000 and give authorization for Jason to sign the contract.
I second the
Motion
motion.
floor second. I want to make sure you're awake over there.
No, no.
We
I
just
was
wait.
reading this.
I know, we're just waiting on you. It's okay. We're having a good time. I like being on this board. I mean, we do serious work here, but we have a good time doing it. Good job. Motion on the floor duly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion's carried.
All right, Wolf Summit Energy Center project, there's no update. We're waiting for the Harrison County Commission's public hearing scheduled for Wednesday, October the 30th. After the hearing, the Harrison County Commission will file their case with the Public Service Commission. What happens after that?
PSC will advertise a class 1 legal ad, probably appoint an administrative law judge now the hearings here in the jurisdiction.
That's at 10 a.m., right? I think
Yes. And how long does that process usually take?
6 months, perhaps?
Take that long?
Sure, this is a public service commission we're talking about. I'm guessing that they will not retain jurisdiction and they will appoint an administrative law judge who will hear evidence and make a recommendation, which will then go up to the Public Service Commission for approval. Now, if the board wants us to say, we want the commission to retain jurisdiction and short circuit the process, we can do that, or the county commission can do that. I don't know that there are exigent circumstances from Summit Energy. I've not heard that from them. So
And this hearing is just for a boundary adjustment or a boundary,
Just for boundary adjustments.
just a minor, just to
yes,
be
sir.
able to survey.
That's right.
Our point at the county commission was that the developer feels that the PSD is not competent to provide the service. And that has nothing to do with their work ethic or their organization or anything. It's just scale.
It's what they
It's
do
scale.
now. They're fine for what they're
They're
doing
great for
now.
the single 5/8 meter, whatever, but this is
Over
a whole different ballgame.
This is
You
a
know, we
big
need
thing.
these people to do. So,
And they've requested it.
so we made that clear to the commission. And I think that they see that.
Again, it wasn't something we generated. I mean, the developer says, we want Clarksburg Water to handle this directly. They told us that when they come here several years ago. And that's the way it is
Yes, sir. We're supporting the economic
because of
development.
the scale, bigger staffing and
It's
so.
been 10 years in the working.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But that's crazy that they get back through all the public hearings and stuff like that, because they're gonna have one here. PSC kind of does their spin.
Yes, sir.
So they'll go back through and basically redo it.
Yes, sir. And the developer is represented by competent PSC counsel, Chris Cowles from Jackson County. So he knows what we're up against here and seems to prefer this approach. We asked them to annex and they wouldn't do it. So
Which one made it a lot
Okay,
faster.
oh, it would be done.
that's right. All right, guys, let's move on because we want that plant here. All right,
Okay, we're down to board member and employee reports, and Al, I think you have.
yeah, I did have something here. I'm gonna stay seated and read this thing. You know, we have are we getting close to finishing the work down there?
No, it's.
In progress?
It's in progress.
Well, anyway, you know, we've been changing our bulk water, where we sell water to big tank trucks and stuff, make water, potable water and so on. And we relocated that from down by distribution across the road to where we bring our water out of the river, where the big old gas-fired pump is down there for display. And started pouring concrete. When was it?
You started pouring concrete, yesterday, today?
Today.
Today.
Anyway.
Formed it up yesterday, poured it
I want
today.
to do something here. It says, in recognition of his exceptional dedication, and selfless service to the Clarksburg Water Board as a valued member of our board, Paul. He does nothing about this. His generous volunteerism, willingness to lend a hand with special projects, and wealth of knowledge have greatly benefited our staff and organization. Paul's tireless efforts, unwavering commitment, and readiness to go above and beyond have made a significant and lasting impact on the Clarksburg Water Board. We extend our deepest gratitude for his invaluable contributions and the positive difference he has made, and is presented on the 22nd day of October, today, 2024, to Paul J. Howell.
Way to go, Paul.
And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, this is well-founded. You don't get anything out of this. You got your job,
You need
you're
your
here
raise.
right now, and you're down there throwing a hand in with this concrete. There's
For
not
2
many,
days I had
there's
it
not
down
many,
Oh, well.
there's not many people who serve on boards that step beyond the call of duty.
That's
Thank
very
you, buddy.
Good job,
Here-
Paul. Thank you, Ben.
This is a really nice certificate, and we expect you to hang it at Tony's,
Yeah.
along with a note that says Chad and Al get free ice cream.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. I've tried that.
I'll take a pizza.
I'll take it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Much
My
appreciated.
pleasure.
It really is, Paul. Good job. Anything else?
All right,
I
Jason.
just want to say
Yeah,
one thing.
okay.
I just want to thank Jason. Every time that I've had a citizen have a concern, when I reach out to you, you get, I always go to you. You're very prompt, and I want to thank us. Was it Bobby that went out on that the next day? I get a concern from a citizen on Rodney. The next morning, you always get things done so quickly and efficiently, and the customers really appreciate it. I appreciate it as a board member, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
That is really a fact, because I mean, we've had this all experienced it. It is so different when we call in, and you just never get a lot of phone calls, but you get them now and then. I've got a problem with this or this leak or whatever, and we refer them out here. But the big thing is, never had this happen before. Maybe occasionally, they always call back and say, golly, those people out there treated me good. The manager is this or this person and so on. And that speaks well of our entire team, and you're the leader.
That's our job. Our job's to serve.
And then the one on Capitol still talks about on Capitol Avenue, still talks about how quickly and got everything done from the last customer.
It's my honor to serve people in this great community. It's definitely an honor.
We're gonna work on you next.
I tried that with a gas company. Power company.
What else? Do we have an executive committee meeting?
Yeah, we got a few things. Jason's got got an update in his department of a project that he's working on. Jason?
Jason, want to tell us about
All
it?
right, we are, right now, we have accounts payable, but in our system, we also have a complete purchasing system. Which that kind of got nixed when we first got the system. We had it, but we never really utilized it to the extent. And, so what we're gonna do is, instead of, like, now our department heads, they bring up paper POs that they have to print out in Excel. We're gonna nix that. We're gonna get rid of that, and they're gonna actually have to go into the system themselves, do up the PO, do up the requisition inside the system, and then instead of them having to get signatures from us, we'll just be able to go in the system and approve it from the system itself.
An electronic.
Electronic approval, which only people who have access to that will be people that's authorized to have it and be able to do the approvals. And then they'll be able to go in and be able to print their PO and be good to go. So there'll be no more calling Gina, hey, I need a PO number, it'll be
Generated by the
it'll
system.
be already generated. What they'll need to do is they'll need to get this, they'll have to make sure they get this stuff before the order's placed. Because that way and it's the same way with the ordering inventory, they'll have to put in their order for inventory and put that in the system before they order the inventory, or else they're not gonna be able to order it. This will be a sample PO, brought in a sample here. This is all of our test system, so I was doing some testing. Cause there'll still be a requisition number. And then,
Of course, you'll have electronic signature.
yes, then this is authorized by, I'm planning on having that line taking out and putting in the people that approved the PO. Which would be, department head, me as the financial director and the general manager. All three signatures gotta be on the approval and on the PO before it can be purchased.
Let's,
No, how often you guys gonna look at this? If there needs to be three,
Well, there will be more in the system. System's gotta be, we all have to be in the system every day. Me, I have to be in there.
There'll be a window up on our.
will there be a section with purchase orders so they can review them?
What happens is, let's say Larry Gano puts a PO in. Once he get, or put a requisition in. Once he completes his, putting the requisition in, I get a notification, Jason gets a notification, and Bobby Fazzini will get a notification. Bobby Fazzini will be the first approval, I'll be the second, and the
Who's the
GM will be the last.
We're confident it's quick. I mean, it sounds like 1, 2. I mean, just as soon as it clicks, I'll know he approved it, and I
she'll get
approve it.
alerts. You can-
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
as long as you're in the system, you get an alert.
Instantly.
Now, if you're not in the system, let's say let's say he's out today and he's unable to approve. So we'd have to wait till tomorrow to get his approval. As soon as he opens the system up, it's gonna bang him with a bunch of notifications saying, hey,
He has to review them.
there's stuff here to review. And there's a dashboard, which makes it really easy because up right on the top of the dashboard, it says, you've got five requisitions there that needs to be looked at and approved. And they'll tell you how many POs are outstanding right now. They'll give you all this information, so that way he knows, hey, there's requisitions out there that needs approved, so he can go in and approve them. And if they don't have to be approved in any relatively order, it'll tell you who it's waiting on. So if you go in and look at the requisition, you can say, well, Jason, the director of finance, is still waiting approval from him. But Jason Myers, he can go ahead and approve it and put a note on it saying, hey,
And it gets approved.
pending my approval, making sure the amount's there in the budget to be able to cover this item. So it'll be a little bit of a change, but it'll be a streamlined change. It'll be more efficient.
Much more efficient.
And it will hopefully be able to streamline accounts payable. And we'll be able to streamline our recording of our inventory, because now the way the inventory is recorded, they place the order, but by the time they receive the item, because we haven't got the invoice yet. So you don't get invoiced until you receive the item. So, and by the time we know we actually receive the item is when they're bringing up the receiving slip, and now we're still waiting for the invoice. So it don't get put in the inventory system until Jeannie gets ready to pay it. So it's backwards.
By that time, it could be in a
All
system
right.
somewhere.
It's backwards because it's not hit the inventory system. We don't even know, inventory don't know nothing about it. It could already be in the system and already out there in the system being installed. So ideally now.
So the controls are, as a banker, we always worry about control, dual control, this thing. So the controls are, there's a limited number of people who have the power to do a requisition.
Yes.
And for them, they go in and they have some form on their system that has this. And they send that in, whatever. Do they have attachments or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna be required to attach all their quotes.
Okay.
So they're still gonna have to do the 3 quotes, but they're going to have to attach each of those quotes into the software. So that way when we pull up that requisition, me and him I can look at the quotes and say, hey, make sure the right quote was where it's going to.
Well, you got, I'm trying to cut this short as we can. So that's going to have a documentation to support the request. That's all it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that. It's electronically submitted to only certain people who have power to approve.
Yes.
And those are 3 people. And we've got a system in place for backup and how you do, and then you've got follow-ups in the system to warn people, you've got requisitions out there, you need to approve these purchase orders and so on. And there's note things you can do back and forth. Is that pretty much a description?
Yeah.
And each entry point will have a scanner on their desk, so they can actually scan it.
Now, this will take a little training.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. I know at first people say, oh, shoot, that's all this.
It's gonna be a change in routine, but
But
Once you
it's
get it
not,
going,
it's
it's
not
like
complicated. It's just a little extra work to get it rolling.
now.
Yes. And what I plan on
Say
doing,
Larry tries to put something in, and he goes to click on that account number,
Yeah.
and it says, you don't have enough money. You're already over budget. Boom. We can't place that order. So he's gotta call up Chase and say, I can't order this because there's not enough money in there. I have the authority as general manager to look in their budget, move money around, put money in there. But we can't take it from other departments, that takes you all. But the money I appropriated for distribution,
So it's budgeted for that section and
we
they
can
can
move
use it.
around.
And they have limited access to certain GLs. They're gonna have, or we have, let's say, I have 300 expense GLs.
General ledger.
General ledger accounts. Okay, well, they may only have a limitation of maybe 30. That's the ones where they can actually post to, and it's their stuff regularly. You know, anything else beyond that, they're not gonna be able to see, touch, do anything with, or look at of the budget, because it doesn't pertain to them in all essence of things, because it's numbers it's GL accounts that they don't actually touch in the little business.
And they're gonna see how much they have in their budget.
So the nature of their job, they don't need to
That's
be,
outstanding.
Yeah.
they don't need to be in for that purchase thing, because it's not affecting.
Yeah.
It does
And
their
then-
department. but-
So, what me and him's talked about, what we're gonna do is, we have, within code, we actually have a test mode. And that test mode is an exact replica of our current software. So for about a month and a half, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna have test mode on the software for them. And they're gonna still do it the old way and enter it the new way, so they get practice, and then they can bring they can bring they'll still have a requisition, they'll be able to bring the purchase order up along with their other purchase order. And we can look at it, make sure they've got pertinent information in there that needs to be in there. And that way they can get trained on it and not have to be messing with the production data.
Can't mess up.
No, they can't mess anything up.
They
So
got
that's
a
why here
test
they make
mode so they can
mistakes.
practice with it.
They make mistakes, it's
Yeah.
okay, and that way there, it gives them time to practice and learn,
Right,
and so they know and then when we actually go fully live with it, then they'll have an understanding of it, and they can get in there, do what they need to do and get out.
and I think this is so good, it saves time, money,
Yes,
everything.
It will save a lot of
And
time.
if people become comfortable with it, like everything else,
it
there's
will,
that learning curve, it'll be a great system.
and it will
And
save,
thanks for working through this.
and it will save Gina that back there, she's having to enter all these things back, all these invoices in. You know, they're already doing the work that they're gonna be doing now, they're just gonna be putting in,
But they'll
instead
be
of
a
putting in
system now.
Excel, they're gonna be putting in the software.
It'll be in the
We
system.
can
And-
expedite payments.
So we'll be able to expedite our payments now, where she's getting all these invoices in, she can just go mark it received, and as soon as she marks it received, and make sure that the invoice is what it says in the PO, after that, it goes straight to accounts payable to be paid. It's just a couple clicks, and then she's not having to do is entering all that stuff in, going in, enter the inventory, and then releasing it, and then going from there. It's gonna make it a whole lot easier for her to do her job and be able to get things done. And then hopefully, down the road, I like to get us to the point where we're fully doing this kind of stuff, we're paperless. So that way there, when we get to our audits and things, instead of them having to go back and pull up all of our invoices, we can download them into a file and send them to the auditors, and they can have them before they even get here.
Yeah, while we're talking about this, one thing, great job. You know, I go to a county commission meeting, school board meetings and so on. They produce a lot of paper. Look at all the stuff we have. I mean, if I kept everything that I've had since I've been here, I don't think the ceiling's high enough. And we waste a lot of paper and effort in printing. Can you imagine the printing costs it costs just to run this through through the printer out there and on and on? We need to have our PCs here, so it's here.
That's what, yeah.
And we'd have one there and 3 are yours. That's all we really need.
I think we're gonna get wall service.
We need to do something about that. Again, saving time, saving our citizens money, being more effective and so on, and get away from all this stuff, all this doc. It's always there. It's electronically, and we can always look back on it.
Yeah.
And also it's something we can back up and keep it.
You do a great job with this, by the way.
Thank
I know it's a lot of time consuming.
So let's look into that, okay?
Yeah, I think we've agreed on a surface.
I think we talked about
And
it
a
before.
service you actually can fold it in half. It's more versatile than an iPad. So I think that's what
We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but we talked about this a little
Yeah.
bit. But again, looking at things we can do to save money. And
Bob, do you have anything to report on your department?
I don't know,
Bobby,
I know Bobby's got some stuff.
yeah, but I got a question about that. new
No.
system. You go by the lowest price. We don't always go by the lowest price.
You can override that.
Okay, because it's whoever can give me the
Whoever
parts
can
the
get it here
quickest.
quickest, yeah.
That's what.
But when you do it, you can add a note in there, and that's all. Just
Larry usually does that.
Like-
And that's,
it's
that's
like
the thing, there will have to be, there's going to have to be, there's going to be notes in there for that, let's say, hey, let's say Core Main, can get, there's a
3
lot.
days they can have me apart, but CI is the cheapest and it's 2 weeks
You
out.
can put a comment
Yeah.
in there.
But the thing, that's right, because what it does, if you were handling it verbally and paperwork, you'd tell him, all you're doing is you're typing.
You write it on there now.
Just a little
You just
note.
gotta type it in
Okay,
comments.
I just wanted.
Yeah.
And that's a good
Still
option.
same thing.
And
Your
that's a-
job's not gonna change a whole lot. What's gonna happen is that instead of you bringing the papers up here to,
They're already being.
for him to sign, like you do now, you're gonna do it, but the thing about it is you're gonna have to do this before you place the order. So,
Okay.
so it's going to be approved before you actually place the order.
If I needed an emergency, one of you two's not here to sign it, I'm going ahead and get,
That's fine, but it's gotta be,
but I'll have it drawn up.
you'll have to have it drawn up and you'll have to know it'll have to be marked on there.
I'll
As
call them.
It has to be in the description, bought in an emergency. That way there, we know it bypassed the,
It's really not
Bypass
much standards, it's
Okay.
it's all
Okay.
for entry into the computer.
yeah.
So boss, if you're off a week,
Client,
I was gonna say, because
client's my backup.
you know what's gonna happen if we have to wait till you get back.
No, client's my back. And I'll actually, if I go on vacation, I'll take my laptop with me. So the client's my backup.
So if he gets ran over by a bus, we'll be able to I'll be able to make a change in there for a backup person. Like me, if I'm not here, more than likely I'll have Gina do the backup, Gina or Clyde do the backup when I'm not here.
Time out, guys. We're gonna keep moving on because there's gonna be a lot of discussion. You know what we're going to do. We want to proceed with this. You guys can have some discussion later because we're gonna be here. Stay any longer, he's going to buy us all dinner. Or his
Anyway,
manager will.
my guys were out.
What are your things?
They were taking care of the leaks and stuff. I got a crew working on the building with Paul's help,
Great.
and I appreciate that. Thank you for helping them. And then we did put the runners on all the steps, and even the steps out back.
Here.
Oh, great.
I got a guy that's gonna polish them every month.
Oh,
There's only 70 some of them, off and bottom.
now I don't have to worry about falling down those steps. That's
Nah.
good.
If you do, you'll get rugged up pretty good now.
Anything else, Bob?
But no, we're just, like I said, we're just finishing them steps up this week and started that building.
You getting that concrete work done?
Got the concrete poured today. And we also poured a pad this afternoon where we go through the gate around to the sludge press now, because it was starting to waller out.
Good
So
deal.
we just went ahead and concreted it.
I noticed it was sinking down and it's just bad
Yeah, and we
places.
got 13 yards of concrete coming for the other side in the morning. So
Good deal, man.
Paul's backing out, he can't be here.
Good deal. Okay, that's good.
Bob, your guys put the new water fountain in.
Oh, yeah, I want to mention that.
Okay.
Why, what are you saying about that? And what was that about?
No, I mean, it's just part of their job, but yeah, they put a water fountain in, looks real good out there.
And then the it room,
The it room, what do we do in the it room?
you put all them electrical outlets up there.
Oh, yeah, the it room.
The
We send
it
a
room
couple
being
guys
say,
up there.
It's just another day for Bob. He just
IT
gets
room.
things done.
Now, again, remember, guys, when we talk about it room, we're talking about IT.
That's
right. I call
He
it the
calls
it
it
room.
the it room.
Okay, I just understand that, but I mean, we got viewers.
Oh,
IT.
IT room upstairs, which is very nice.
Yep.
Anything else, guys?
I-
Bobby, anybody around the room here? We're gonna take a 5-minute break. I mean, 5 minutes. You can ask any questions, Mr. Newspaper. And thank you for being here.
I make a motion, we go to the executive session.
I'll second.
Second, and this is for attorney-client privileges and so on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank you all for
Paul,
being here.